I've got a bad brain. Not every intro can be self-deprecating, but sometimes you're just so, like, zapped for creativity. Normally, in various creative things that I've been a part of, whether it's podcasts that I've done, being in a band or whatever, I always have somebody else to work with, to work off of, to riff off of. It's just me. Can you handle me? Probably, without any time to know where the guys are. Those were the words that I wanted to say. The other day I took a trip to one of my favorite local record stores. And a while back, I let someone who I thought was my friend borrow my record collection. I was moving from Charlottesville, Virginia back to Minnesota. Wouldn't you know it? He thought there was some bad juju or it's just religious fanatics. Who knows? But he threw away the first incarnation of my record collection. And there have been a few that have been near impossible to find because they've been out of print or I didn't want to pay absurd prices for them. And this one is such a staple that it almost seems weird that it took me this long to get it back. But I found this yesterday, and it's not, I liked my older pressing. It had a poster inside, it had all this other stuff, but this will work for now. This record is important for a lot of reasons. Bad Brains really cemented what we think of, in a lot of ways, as hardcore. They're amazing musicians. These people are nuts. They do fast so well. They do slow really well. The energy. Bad Brains is on my list of bands that if I could travel back in time to go see in their heyday, oh boy would I. HR on stage doing backflips. The time is not always good to aging punk rockers. Henry Rollins is doing great. Sometimes, like a lot of these bands, their importance is not in question, but their financial longevity is. And he has merch right now. If you can go support HR, do it. He's great. He deserves it. So it's not only important because they were just one of the best, if not the best band out of DC and maybe the whole hardcore scene. But they were also an all-black band in a very, 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 almost exclusively white scene, saving a few bands. But they were also Rastafarian, and that's obviously, if you with the track listing, Jaw Calling, I Love I Jaw. And the really cool thing about this album and just this band as a whole is there are some blisteringly fast punk songs, but then they also put a lot of reggae into their music, and they favor the dub style and this and all of that. For some people, that was their first introduction to reggae. This album is interesting because Bad Brains, they were around in the 70s, but they didn't. They had a single like Pay to Come, that was a single. But they didn't have a whole album. So when The Damned came to America, they really liked Bad Brains, and so they're like, hey, come over to England, we'll record your album. But when they got there, they didn't realize that they needed work visas. So they were detained and sent back to America. But they're from DC, they flew out of New York. So they couldn't get back to DC because they were broke. The drummer sold his drums. It's a whole crazy story. So they weren't as much banned in DC as much as they were just not able to get back to DC. But No Gas Money isn't as good of a title as Banned in DC. So it's interesting story, maybe not. I'm a dork. With that, standout tracks on this one: Sailin' On, the opening song, Banned in DC, obviously. Jaw Calling. Also, I Love I Jaw. I really, really like the reggae songs on this album. They're very good. Leaving Babylon, Pay to Come, Fearless Vampire Killers. Definitely a great record to check out. Also, that cover art. How can you not love that? So, ooh, nice. It comes in a fun little plasticky sleeve here. I'm excited. I actually haven't even put this on my turntable yet, but just that logo, it's classic. Can you tell? I'm a bit of a fan of the band. Bad Brains is phenomenal. They have a lot of other good stuff out there. I know there's going to be a limited release of the Pay to Come single from Down in the Valley. If you go to downinthevalley.com, you can actually I believe, pre-order that 7-inch single, and it's like extremely limited, a different color weight. It's cool, but Bad Brains has a lot of good stuff, like Black Dot, or what was it? They're live at the radio. Whatever. They're a great band. Check them out. This is one of those times where, and I always say, support small artists. These Bad Brains, incredibly influential. They're incredibly influential. But the money doesn't really they don't get what they deserve. If you can support them, buy some merch, buy a record, buy a flip book of HR doing a backflip on stage. I don't know, but just help them out. It's a great band. I'd like to see them not die penniless and starving. So with that, thanks for watching my video. If you could subscribe to my channel, or like, or comment, or do all three, it helps out a lot. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.